and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and I decided to actually do this really small apartment in Myshuno, and I decided that I really wanted to make like a rundown, messy apartment. Like, I feel like I typically don't do builds like that, but honestly, after the, what was it, Basement Treasures kit came out, I don't know why I can't remember the name of that, the Basement Treasures kit came out, and we got all of those like really awesome clutter kind of like rundown items. I was like, well, we all know that I have to do it. We all know that I have to do a messy apartment. So that is what I finally got around to doing for this video. And this ends up being a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And it only ends up being 25,000 simoleons. So that's actually like pretty close to being a starter home actually. So that's kind of nice. I feel like most of my builds aren't really. And I think it's probably because a lot of the stuff I used was like out of debug and just a bunch of like clutter. And honestly, like, I loved it so much that, like, I love cluttering builds, like, and so this was perfect for me, to be honest. Like, I went in and I ended up using a bunch of the, like, kind of rundown appliances and those cabinets that we have there. I believe those are base game, if I'm not mistaken, or actually those may be, the rundown ones actually may be from City Living. I can't remember, but I tried to make it look like, yeah, this apartment's been around for a while, and honestly, it has seen some things, like, and it has had a lot of things happen in it, if that makes sense. But this does have like a full like dining space, kitchen, living room, and like office space, which I thought was really nice. Like, I don't have a ton of skill building stuff in here just because I really just focused on cluttering it with a bunch of other things. And I will say that I did play test it, so everything should be functional and you should be good to go. And it is already up on the Sims 4 gallery if you'd like to download it under my ID spicensprinkles, and I hope you enjoy using it. And as usually, you can link gut it and do whatever you want with it. Like, if you just like the floor plan and want to use that, but you don't necessarily want this messy build, then feel free to alter it if you would like to. And honestly, I used a lot of stuff from the werewolf pack and also some things from the vampire pack, mostly just like the stuff for the walls, like the cobwebs and just like messed up wall like decals basically. And I tried to use the couch that we got with this kit, but honestly I didn't feel like it was messy. Like, it looked more like old, you know, just like dated, versus it being like actually like broken and messed up, like patched, like that kind of thing. So I didn't end up using it, but I did end up using the recliner that came with that kit. And oh my gosh, I was so happy that pile of chairs in the corner, that's actually something that things can slot to, and I didn't realize that when I did the kit review, that that's actually something that could happen, but I was really happy to find that out when I was building. And I also, as I was starting to decorate, I decided that maybe this sim is kind of, I don't know, maybe into conspiracy theories and kind of like, you know, kind of basically someone that would come out of Strangerville, if that makes sense. So we have like a lot of papers everywhere and just a lot of like Strangerville posters, and like, so this person maybe just doesn't leave very often. Maybe they've lived here a really long time, and that's why there's just a bunch of clutter and things and lots of papers. And there's also like some plants in here. They are not like functional plants in terms of like them actually having like producing food that your Sims can eat, but I thought maybe the idea is that like they wanted to be kind of self-sufficient, and based on the fact that these plants kind of look like they're dying, they're not doing a very good job at it. But I thought it was kind of funny. And I do know that I put some stuff in front of like the items that you might have to get to in order to take care of this apartment. So if you use it, you'll just kind of have to move them out of the way if you have to fix like the water and like get to the fuse box, that kind of thing. And I actually did end up adding another like mouse hole. So you can see there's one in this bedroom, but I end up adding another one in here too. I figured, you know, like, why not? And it does actually function that way. I have used that before. Actually, my big sister challenge, when we were living in a cabin in the woods, we added one in there at chat's request, and I just thought that was really funny. So I did add that here as well. And basically this island just serves as a place for me to put a bunch of trash. Like, that's basically what happened. I just honestly just put a bunch of clutter on that counter. So it's basically just there for, you know, aesthetic. But I do make sure there is a space for your Sims to cook. I will say that when it's uploaded to the gallery, the counter clutter is a tiny bit different because the Sim didn't want to cook on the counter, but I fixed it so what's up on the gallery should work just fine, and you shouldn't have any issues so long as like the Sims like isn't weird. But we all know it's just, you know what, sometimes that happens. Sometimes it kind of does whatever it wants to. But it was really hard for me. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know why these apartments have to have such tall walls. I really wish the walls weren't that tall. And so I felt like, it was a little bit of a challenge to really feel like, to make it feel like this was really a filled out space, if that makes sense. So I used a lot of those decals to just see that it was like really run down. And I know that the werewolf, like that mirror that I used in the bathroom, is a bit large, but I really liked that it was messed up. So I'm just going to overlook the fact that it looks kind of, big. And yes, I did not put a paper towel roll on the wall, but that was intentional. I instead used a paper towel roll and I put it on the corner of the sink there, and it's the one that looks like it's been used, like the edge of it is like, looks like it had been torn. So they don't have a paper towel roll on the wall, but they have one on the sink. But I thought I'd mention that because I just thought that was kind of funny. I remember like looking through those items and going like, oh yeah, that'd be like someone just like having it maybe sitting on their counter. And I've never actually utilized that in a build, so I decided that this may be a good build to do that in. Like maybe they had one, but it's broken now, or maybe they never had one to begin with, but I thought it worked out really well. And I don't know why, but it just felt right to have that poster of Bob Pancakes. I don't know why. I just like saw it and I was like, yes, we need to have this on the wall. And I think it worked out really well. I do end up adding in I think it was a frog. I think I end up adding that like as like the idea of having maybe a little pet. But again, I actually pulled out a bunch of debug books from Strangerville and left that on the table too, like in the living space, because I figured, again, like that's what that sim like does. They just like look into conspiracies and they're really engaged with Strangerville. And I don't know what this person does for a job. I mean, who knows? Maybe they work for the military in Strangerville and like they just know things, and so they've gone maybe a little bit crazy. I don't know. I've actually not played through the Strangerville storyline, but I do know that there's like a plant and it's like taking over and the Sims act really weird. I feel like maybe I need to do that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I need to make a mini series on my channel of me actually playing through that, because when I started playing Sims 4, like that had been out for a while, and so I just didn't like do that, if that makes sense. And I think a huge trash truck just went by, so I'm hoping you didn't hear that. But I feel like I've been saying that so often lately in my speed builds, but I don't know, like there's just been a lot of sounds going on. And so you can see I'm literally at this point, I'm just adding stuff everywhere, just layers of things, papers, boxes. I try to find stuff that kind of looked messed up, run down, worn out. And I did include a computer here, so I used like the bigger one and the cheaper one so that your sim still has a like place to use the computer, because I feel like that's just like a really good thing to have in a Sims build. And I will say that later on I do add in a telescope on the side, like in the living room, like it's faced like it would be outside, but I will say that technically that the telescope is not functional indoors, so like that won't work, but I think that's just because it's indoors. But I like that touch, like they were like spying and like looking out like maybe at the sky, I don't know. But it just felt like it made sense for this sim, so I included that in here as well. And I try to just make everything just look very cluttered. Like this person, who knows, maybe they just don't put a lot of time into like taking care of their home. They're really just into whatever it is that they're doing work-wise. I don't know. But this was actually a lot of fun to do. Like I feel like I used a lot of items that I don't typically use, which was kind of fun. And I even put a little bit of clutter on top of the cabinets because, like I said, I realized that the walls are so tall that like I needed to do something. And in the bedroom here, I did add in some like hanging storage space as well, so that it kind of looks like there's just stuff. There's stuff everywhere, like all over the place. And of course I used that like broken dresser as well, and I think technically that came out of base game. I was trying to remember. I had a hard time finding it. I thought it came out of Eco Lifestyle, but I think technically it may be under the base game category. But like I said, I did use a lot of debug here, so if some of the items maybe you don't recognize, like it's out of debug. Like I got a lot of stuff out of there. I put like trash bags everywhere. Like this place is insane. Like there's just so much stuff everywhere, but I really liked the way it turned out. And like like I had a bag of groceries there on the counter. So like maybe your sim hasn't been putting up their groceries. Maybe they get their groceries delivered. Maybe they don't leave the house. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is an apartment that you could really have an interesting storyline in, if that makes sense. And I also include like a stereo here so that your sim also can, like, I don't know, if they feel like they want to learn how to dance, like they could do that, or listen to music. So there's lots of ways for your sims to be entertained and, like, you know, have stuff to do. And I do end up actually here putting in some lockers on the wall. I end up extending that wall as like an actual wall instead of a half wall because it just felt like it made a little more sense because I wanted to put something there. So we just put some lockers there. So there's just some more like hypothetical storage for your sim. And I figured you can't have too much, and maybe this sim's been living here a long time, so they really do need a lot of storage here. I did struggle with what storage like piece I wanted to put here, but the lockers I felt like were kind of cute and made sense. And then I just add in a little more clutter kind of around the locker space there, and just kind of putting stuff everywhere. I thought the pots would be kind of cute here because like if they're trying to like plant, maybe they have like a collection of planter pots here, like that they're, like I said, they're trying to be self-sufficient, but it's just maybe not working out super well. Like they can't keep stuff alive. Also, they're inside. I feel like that would be really difficult to do anyways, unless you have one of those special like gardens that's meant to be inside. But anyways, if you enjoyed this build, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and let me know in the comments of any ideas that you want to see for the channel, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.